I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm going to talk with the latest winner of our King of the Mountain contest here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. John Carter won the King of the Mountain contest this year, took home $25,000 for his big victory. I'm going to talk to John about the contest, about how he won it all, and what he's going to do with his big winnings. So I'm very excited to have John on the show today to talk about this. And before I get to that, though, I did want to talk about the contest. If you're not familiar, our King of the Mountain contest, it's a great one. I really like it. So it consists of 3 starters each week. You start a quarterback, a running back, and a receiver, and it's one and done. So you can only pick these players once all season. And it's PPR, standard PPR rules for scoring. And each team that scores in the top 2/3 of all entries in the contest advances to the next week. And if you score in the bottom third, you're out. So you have to score in the top 2/3 each week with a quarterback, running back, and receiver, and you can only use them once all season. You win $25,000 for finishing first overall. One entry to get in the contest is $10, 2 for $15. So if you want to get in this contest next year, go to RealTime Fantasy Sports, click on the Money League link at the top of the page, and then you can sign up for the King of the Mountain contest here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. So that's the contest. That's the King of the Mountain. And now I'm going to talk to the King of the Mountain winner from 2020, and that's John Carter. So here's my interview with John Carter, winner of the 2020 King of the Mountain contest. I'm joined now by John Carter, this year's winner of the King of the Mountain contest here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. He won $25,000 for his big victory. John, thanks so much for joining me. First question to you: has it sunk in yet?
It really hasn't. It's been just I don't know how to describe it. I never thought it would happen. I was just enjoying the first of the year, and it was just something I did for kicks, and daggone, I won it.
So my second question, I should say, have you ever done this contest before? Is this the first time you've done it? Have you done it before? If so, have you had success in it at all?
This is the first time I've done it. I've seen it. We've been using RT Sports for about 16 years for our regular fantasy league. So yeah, I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with you and some of your tips. Actually, I use some of your tips, but as far as preparing my lineup and so forth.
Wow. So that's the first time you ever played it and you won it all. That's quite the feat. So how about along the way? Was there, because this contest, as I explained, leading up to this interview, you have to finish in the top 2/3 to advance each week. So was there any real close calls for you throughout the season? Any weeks stand out to you where there was a close call?
I did about week 13 or 14. I had, you're always going to have a player that underperforms, or either somebody gets hurt or that sort of thing. I think this was an underperform situation. And I was trying at that time to use, tier 2 and 3 running backs that were having good weeks. And, you take chances and risk, and there's a lot of luck involved in this as well. But I mean, a lot of preparations too, and matchups. I look at all those things.
Yeah, so
that was a close call to me.
Okay, so that was another question for me, is just strategy for the contest. Was there long-term planning for you? How did you approach the season when it came to this contest?
Well, being new and a novice, I wasn't really sure how to do it, but I knew that I needed to keep some, some stud athletes for, tier 1 and at least top of tier 2 athletes for the late games. So I started in that thing, but then people get hurt, such as Barkley or Prescott. A lot of that I'd got to use neither of those two because I was trying to hang on to them. And then you have other good things that happen, like say Akers and Eckler, and they were hurt early, but later on, I used them at the I think week 16, 17, somewhere in there, and they were able to help me a lot.
Okay, so another question for you is, was there any point of this contest that you really felt, hey, I really got a shot to win this all? I mean, did you feel like there was something that happened maybe along the way that you thought, man, this is a legit deal. I got a chance to win it all?
Well, I was just in all that it was still there. But after 14, that close call, I think I missed the cut line, maybe 2 spots, maybe 3, somewhere. It was close.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I was pretty much, not in any danger at any time. But when it got down to the last two of us, uh, man, had I known what his lineup was, I'd have been even more anxious because I didn't know he had Breeze. I didn't know he had I think Kareem Hunt, I think's who he had, and then we both used Michael Thomas. Of course, he laid an egg for both of us, so it wasn't any help there. But all I had left was at that time was Golf, and I used Akers, and Akers really came through with a good game. Golf was outperformed Drew Brees in that particular situation. I believe that was week 19. That was the championship game.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna. I was.
those
I
were
was
just
definitely.
things.
I was going to touch on that and set it up for our listeners, but you went into it. So this last week of the contest, you had Jared Goff, like you mentioned, Cam Akers. So you had two Rams and then Michael Thomas. Your opponent had Drew Brees, Kareem Hunt, and Michael Thomas. So that was a pretty close matchup overall, but it came down to Drew Brees. So you needed Drew Brees to score less than, I believe it was 19 points. When we were looking at it, we were talking about it at work, so we were watching this closely. So did you feel good about your chances going into that last game? Because it definitely was a nail biter.
I was really worried quarterback was. I didn't know the injury to Goff's hand. Of course, I knew he didn't have a backup because he got hurt the week before, and actually Goff had to go in the week before. And I was really, really concerned about the quarterback because I felt good about Akers, and I actually felt good about Thomas. I had no idea he'd lay an egg. But what I did underestimate was Tampa Bay's defense. I never expected them to keep Drew Brees down as they did.
Yeah, they completely shut Drew Brees down in that matchup. So, John, have you been playing fantasy a long time? Just not this. Obviously, you said it's the first time you've been in this contest, but you obviously have to be a good fantasy player to win it all. So, have you been playing fantasy
Well,
for a long
we
time?
we have I have I started in 1988. That gives you a little bit of my age. I'm 70 years old now. I started in my 30s, but that was before the internet stuff. We called it paper football. You did everything by paper, and if you were the commissioner, you really had a time having to go through newspapers and score everything out. It was a lot of work, but as the internet it progressed, fantasy football just became. I mean, it's a lot easier to do uh, now as far as research, and you got so many experts out there such as yourself that I look at a lot of things. Of course, it comes down to sometimes you just got to go with your gut, whatever you feel. I
Yeah.
can't go with maybe I disagree with you, maybe I disagree with others, but sometimes you get a player such as, I'll give you the Akers. I had Akers and Fournette. And
Mhm.
Fournette had come off a good game, but I didn't feel it that particular week. I don't like to put players from the same team, especially in a three-man contest usually, because if you have a bad game, you're really in trouble. But those are things that I try to do.
Yeah, so with that strategy, you don't like to use players from the same team. I know sometimes that's a strategy for some people to stack their quarterbacks, but like you said, if they miss, then you're out of the contest. So you didn't really go by that too much. You didn't really stack your players too much. You kind of spread it out a little bit when it came to your weekly lineup in this one.
I, I never have. Now, years ago, now I tell you how old I've been when I had Rice in Montana, for example. Of course, I'd pair those two up. If I could get both those on my fantasy team, and I did a lot of years. I had Rice 4 years in a row. How they let me do that, I don't know. Especially when I'm drafting last, because I've I think I've got 10 or 11 championships in my 30 something years doing it, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
About a third of the time I won a championship. That's pretty strong.
yeah, definitely.
Uh,
So, plans for the winnings. You just won $25,000. You have any big plans going on a trip, anything like that? House improve. I know it's kind of a different time that we're living in right now, but maybe at some point you could do those things. You have any big plans?
Yeah, my wife and I just retired December 31st, so we're looking at it. This will certainly help. Of course, with COVID, we're not anxious to go anywhere right now because, like I say, we're both 70 years old now, so I don't want to get out too much. But yeah, that's our plans. If we can get through this disease thing, it'll be fine. But I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed RT Sports. We use the program for our like I say, our fantasy league. So I'll go to that website a lot. I don't do baseball or basketball, but I stay with football. And I look at it, study, read all I can about it, and I think that helps out a lot. I mean, even though I hadn't participated in this contest before, I think that I had enough knowledge that I could do well in it, or at least I thought I could, and I proved I did this time. But there's a lot of luck involved now. There's a lot of good competitors in there, so it requires luck too.
Yeah, you definitely need to have things break your way. John, I appreciate you joining me. Really appreciate your story, talking about your season, your big win, and being a loyal customer for Real Time Fantasy Sports. We appreciate that as well. And we're happy to see you win it all. And good luck in the future if you get in any more of these contests. Really appreciate you joining me. Thanks a lot.
I am. I intend to play it again. I did the postseason one too, but I'm not doing quite as well there.
All right. Thanks, John. Take care.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. And that was my interview with John Carter, the winner of the King of the Mountain contest in 2020. John took home $25,000 for his big victory. And if you want to sign up for this contest next year, go to RealTime Fantasy Sports, rtsports.com, click on the Money Leagues link at the top of the page, and then you can sign up for any of our money leagues, including this King of the Mountain contest. You can turn $10 into $25,000, or you can do 2 entries for $15 for a chance to win $25,000. All right, this has been Jeff Paur for Real Time Fantasy Sports. Have a great day, everyone.